The grass at Wimbledon is unlike any other surface in sport. It carries history in its blades, whispers of champions past, echoes of etiquette, restraint, and tradition. On a summer afternoon in 1985, the center court crowd sat poised between curiosity and disbelief as a teenager with red hair and fearless eyes sprinted across that sacred lawn. He dove, stretched, and hurled himself at the ball with a recklessness that bordered on defiance. Every point felt like an intrusion into a carefully guarded world. And yet, with each leaping volley and thunderous serve, it became clear that something irreversible was happening. Tennis was changing, history was unfolding. And at its center stood Boris Becker. His rise did not follow the gentle arc of expectation. It was explosive, sudden, and overwhelming. At just 17 years old, Becker shattered one of the sport's most enduring barriers, becoming the youngest male Wimbledon champion in history and the first unseeded player ever to win the title. But that moment, often replayed, endlessly celebrated, was not an accident. It was the culmination of years of discipline, pressure, and relentless belief forged far from the manicured lawns of London. Boris Franz Becker was born on November 22, 1967, in Lyman, a small town in West Germany near Heidelberg. He grew up in a working-class family shaped by structure and expectation. His father, Karl-Heinz Becker, was an architect and former athlete, a man who valued order, discipline, and commitment. His mother, Elvira Becker, provided emotional grounding, balancing the intensity of the household. Tennis entered Boris's life early, not as a pastime but as a project. At the age of 4, Becker was introduced to the game at the Blau-Weiß Lyman Tennis Club, where his father served as chairman. The courts were familiar, almost domestic, and the routines quickly became ingrained. What separated Becker from other children was not only his physical talent but his focus. Even at a young age, he displayed extraordinary coordination, reflexes, and competitive fire. He did not simply play to participate, he played to dominate. By the time he was a teenager, Becker was already embedded within West Germany's elite tennis development system. His training intensified, structured around physical conditioning, technical repetition, and mental resilience. Coaches quickly identified his serve as a weapon, powerful, accurate, and devastating even against older opponents. His aggressive serve and volley style, combined with explosive movement, suited fast surfaces perfectly and set him apart in an era still adjusting to increasing power. In 1984, Becker turned professional at just 16. The transition was abrupt. The junior circuit gave way to international travel, media scrutiny, and professional expectations. Results came quickly. He won his first ATP title in Munich in 1985, announcing himself as more than a prospect. Still, nothing prepared the tennis world for what would unfold at Wimbledon that summer. Arriving in London unseeded and largely unknown to casual fans, Becker played with fearless intensity. Match after match, he dismantled experienced opponents, charging the net with abandon and throwing himself across the grass in dramatic dives that electrified crowds. Each victory deepened disbelief. When he reached the final, the atmosphere shifted from novelty to tension. On July 7, 1985, Boris Becker defeated Kevin Kuranin for sets to win Wimbledon. At 17 years and 227 days old, he had rewritten tennis history. The victory was seismic. Overnight, Becker became a global star. Germany, long respected in sport but still seeking icons in tennis, embraced him as a national hero. Media attention intensified instantly. Endorsements followed, expectations soared. And for a teenager barely out of childhood, the weight was immense. Rather than fading under pressure, Becker rose again. In 1986, he returned to Wimbledon not as a surprise, but as a target. He defended his title successfully, proving that his first triumph had been no fluke. The transformation from prodigy to champion was complete. His playing style, powerful serves, instinctive volleys, and raw athleticism redefined what was possible on grass courts. That same year, Becker reached the final of the US Open, though he fell short of the title. Still, his consistency at the highest level was undeniable. In 1987, he captured his first Australian Open title, demonstrating that his game could succeed beyond grass. His adaptability, often underestimated, became one of his defining strengths. Becker's rivalry with players like Ivan Lendl, Stefan Edberg, and later Andre Agassi defined an era. Against Lendl, he faced the challenge of relentless baseline precision. Against Edberg, it was a duel of serve and volley elegance. These matches were not merely contests of skill but of philosophy, power versus finesse, aggression versus control. Becker's victories in these rivalries solidified his standing among the sport's elite. In 1989, Becker achieved another milestone, winning Wimbledon for the third time. By then, he was no longer a teenage phenomenon but a seasoned competitor navigating pressure with experience. That same year, he reached the world #1 ranking, becoming the first German man to do so. The journey from Lyman to the summit of global tennis was complete, yet it came at a cost. The physical demands of his playing style were immense. Becker's explosive movement and diving volleys placed constant strain on his body. Injuries began to surface, particularly involving his back, hips, and knees. Managing pain became part of daily routine. Training sessions were carefully adjusted. Matches required strategic conservation of energy. These challenges were real, documented, and persistent, but Becker continued. Beyond the physical toll, mental pressure intensified. Fame arrived early and without insulation. Every loss was scrutinized, every decision was debated publicly. Becker faced moments of doubt, particularly as expectations grew higher than any realistic standard. Still, his work ethic remained unwavering. He trained rigorously, maintained discipline, and relied on experience to guide him through turbulent periods. The early 1990s brought further success and complexity. Becker added more Grand Slam titles, including additional Australian Open victories, and played a crucial role in Germany's Davis Cup triumphs. Representing his country became a defining element of his career. In 1988 and again in 1989, Germany won the Davis Cup, with Becker as a central figure. These team successes carried emotional weight, offering balance to the solitary nature of professional tennis. By the mid-1990s, Becker had become both veteran and symbol. His influence extended beyond results. Younger players studied his movement, his serve, his mental toughness. He was no longer redefining the game through surprise, but through longevity. Yet time is undefeated. Injuries accumulated. Recovery slowed. The physical intensity that once defined his dominance became harder to sustain across full seasons. Becker adjusted his schedule, choosing tournaments carefully, focusing on moments that mattered most. As the 1990s progressed, Becker continued to prove that his success was not bound to a single surface or moment in time. He returned to the Australian Open with renewed focus and, in 1991, captured the title for a second time. The victory confirmed his versatility and resilience. Melbourne's hard courts demanded endurance, patience, and tactical discipline, qualities Becker had sharpened over years of competition. His ability to adapt his aggressive game to longer rallies and changing conditions became one of the most underrated aspects of his greatness. In 1991, Becker also reached the Wimbledon final again, though he fell short of reclaiming the title. Losses like this no longer shook his confidence, but they did deepen his understanding of the margins at the highest level. Tennis had evolved. Power was becoming more widespread. Baseline play was growing more dominant. Becker responded not by resisting change, but by refining his approach, improving his return game, and relying more heavily on experience. One of the most significant milestones of his career arrived in 1992 at the Barcelona Olympic Games. Representing Germany in men's doubles alongside Michael Stick, Becker achieved what had eluded him throughout his singles career: Olympic gold. The victory carried unique emotional weight. Olympic tennis was not about individual branding or ranking points, it was about national representation. Standing atop the podium, Becker experienced a different dimension of success, one rooted in partnership and collective pride. That same year, Becker added another Australian Open title, his third and final triumph at the tournament. By now, he had accumulated 6 Grand Slam singles titles, 3 Wimbledons, 2 Australian Opens, and 1 US Open. Each came in a different phase of his development, reflecting not just physical ability, but adaptability and mental strength. His role in Germany's Davis Cup campaigns further cemented his legacy as a team competitor. Becker was instrumental in Germany's Davis Cup victories in 1988, 1989, and later again in 1993. In the emotionally charged environment of international team tennis, his leadership and competitive fire flourished. He thrived on responsibility, often delivering when pressure was highest. Yet the physical cost of his style could not be ignored. Becker's serve and volley game, reliant on explosive movement and repeated diving, placed constant strain on his body. Chronic back pain, hip issues, and recurring injuries began to dictate his schedule. Training became as much about preservation as improvement. Matches were chosen carefully, recovery routines grew longer and more complex. By the mid-1990s, Becker faced moments of genuine doubt. Younger players emerged with greater endurance and increasingly powerful baseline games. The margins grew thinner, wins required more effort. Losses came more frequently. Still, Becker remained competitive at the highest level, reaching the semifinals and finals of major tournaments well into his late 20s. In 1996, he captured his final Grand Slam singles title at the Australian Open, defeating Michael Chang in the final. It was a moment of affirmation, proof that experience, when paired with discipline, could still overcome youth and speed. The victory also marked the beginning of the end of his time at the sport's absolute summit. As the years advanced, Becker transitioned gradually toward the final phase of his playing career. His rankings slipped, not dramatically, but steadily. Injuries became harder to manage, motivation required deeper reflection. The joy of competition remained, but the physical demands exacted a toll that no amount of determination could erase. In 1999, Boris Becker announced his retirement from professional tennis. He left the sport with a record that placed him among the greatest of his generation: 6 Grand Slam singles titles, Olympic gold, 3 Davis Cup victories, and the distinction of having been world #1. His career had spanned eras, influencing how tennis was played and perceived, particularly in Germany, where his impact sparked a lasting surge in popularity and participation. Retirement did not bring distance from the game. Becker's understanding of tennis, its rhythms, pressures, and psychology made him a natural fit for roles beyond the court. He became a prominent commentator and analyst, offering insights shaped by experience rather than theory. His voice carried authority, and his perspectives reflected a deep respect for the sport's demands. In 2013, Becker entered a new chapter when he became head coach of Novak Djokovic. The partnership proved highly successful. Under Becker's guidance, Djokovic refined his attacking instincts, mental resilience, and net play. During their collaboration, Djokovic won multiple Grand Slam titles and maintained dominance at the top of the rankings. Becker's influence was widely acknowledged as a factor in Djokovic's continued evolution as an all-court player. After stepping away from full-time coaching, Becker remained involved in tennis through media work, advisory roles, and public appearances. His presence continued to shape conversations around the sport, particularly in Europe. He spoke openly about the pressures of early fame, the challenges of sustaining excellence, and the importance of mental resilience, lessons earned through experience rather than theory. Becker's life beyond tennis was not without difficulty. Publicly documented legal and financial challenges became part of his story, serving as reminders that sporting greatness does not insulate individuals from personal responsibility or consequence. Throughout these periods, his legacy as an athlete remained distinct from the complexities of life after competition. His career achievements stand on verified results, historical impact, and lasting influence on the sport. Today, Boris Becker's place in tennis history is secure. He is remembered not only for what he won, but for how he changed perceptions. He showed that youth could conquer tradition, that aggression could coexist with intelligence, and that greatness could arrive from unexpected places. His career serves as both inspiration and instruction, a testament to what discipline, courage, and belief can achieve, and a reminder of the responsibility that follows success. For behind the medal, Boris Becker's journey captures the full arc of sporting life: ascent, dominance, challenge, reinvention, and reflection. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you that the path to greatness is rarely simple, support the stories that go beyond trophies. Like the video, share it with those who value the deeper narratives behind success, and subscribe to Behind the Medal for more journeys that honor the human side of sport. This video contains AI-generated images. They are used only for creative illustration and may not represent the athlete's exact appearance.